Hey, we're here at day 2 of Red Bull NYC here with Axslav. Well, I didn't expect to see here, but what happened? Did Red Bull hired you at the last moment?
Yeah, it was like a last minute thing, basically realizing that they wanted a little bit more staff on hand because they have both the casting desk and analysis desk. Yeah. And, for yesterday was a 10-hour day with only 4 people and 4 jobs. That means people working 10 hours. So having 5, so you're only working 8-hour days is a little bit easier.
And they hired Axslav too, man.
Yeah, he's doing all the interviews, not like the on-stage ones, but the in-depth ones, part of a YouTube series you're doing. It's pretty cool.
So you could say they rescue you guys.
I mean, it's a one event type of thing. It's not a full-time gig right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I got to ask you, you guys were released by MLG. Like, how'd that happen?
I mean, it's just MLG didn't have plans to continue full StarCraft content going forward, like daily content, which is what you're doing. Yeah. So it made no sense to have us. It made no sense to have, producers who specialize in a game that you're not producing daily content for on full time. And that's just the way. It was something that, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when. So it was just like, I was like, it's probably before the end of the year they're gonna do it. But I had no idea when it actually was gonna happen.
Like, weren't they trying to nudge you toward other games so they could keep you on doing other content?
It was one thing. They never told me go try a different game, but it was something I knew if I really wanted to, I could have taken initiative and jumped in other content. Some of the other producers were like, hey, if you want, you could probably jump in and help us out with this. But for me, it's like, if I'm working, what I love is StarCraft. Yeah. So if I'm working a job like MLG, which is like all esports jobs where, pretty much everyone in esports can get more money elsewhere. If you're not doing what you love.
If you're out of esports, you can do something else.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like, if I'm not doing something I love, I'm just doing something to keep a job, there's other things I can do to keep a job that are better, right?
So I know that while you're on MLG, there's things you can't say, out of respect for the company. But it's honestly now that you can say what you want, what do you think? What's your assessment of what MLG thinks of StarCraft 2 right now?
I mean, obviously they know it's one of the top games, and in numbers, it's always daily numbers. It's always in the top 3 pretty much consistently. But it's something where just their direction is they really want to focus on the American audience. And StarCraft, it's still big in America, but Call of Duty is huge right now. Dota 2, right now in America isn't that huge, but they see a lot of potential to grow. They want to try to, invest in that.
Yeah, I hear their Columbus event's doing insanely well.
Yeah, the live audience is great there. I think I've heard the live audience at Columbus is almost as big as it was at Anaheim, and it's only a 2-game event, so that's actually really impressive. So I know that the daily Dota stuff hasn't gone to insane views, but that's more of a build-up thing because it's just American teams and they're trying to develop the scene basically. But as far as StarCraft goes, it's just for MLG, if they want to develop a scene and build a scene around MLG, it's much easier in Call of Duty and Dota 2 when there's no other people in that space, right? I mean, there are, but not in the American. There's no one doing American daily Dota 2. There's no one doing Call of Duty besides MLG. Whereas StarCraft, there's so many other people that it's hard to really develop entire storyline, entire scene around yourself.
I mean, I think the WCS 2014 announcement came afterward, but considering that it's down to 3 seasons in a year and there's going to be several weeks, a month and a half between seasons, you don't think that opens up the possibility for a future return?
I mean, there's definitely. I think. It's not that SC2 can't make money. The stuff that Alex and I were doing, when we looked at numbers, we were making money. Okay. We were making money on
money for MLG.
Yes, okay. Yes, we were making money on that. It's not. It's just about what you want to build as you scale it up. And for StarCraft, there's a ton of potential to build a lot of stuff. I love StarCraft, and I can guarantee you that there is money and there's space there to grow something, but. It's almost that there's so many people trying to do it that's easier to do the other games right now.
Do you mean MLG doesn't really want to do StarCraft if they can't be the best or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, is that it's hard to do it when you're always being compared to all these other people that are also doing the work in the space. But like you said, with the new plans for WCS, I think there's a lot of room for daily growth or daily content. I'd actually really like to see something like what's been going on in Europe for almost 3 years now. Is there's all these daily tournaments. Like, I mean, now Millennium does a lot of stuff. There's Daily Motion, XMG does stuff, and then there's like the Go for SC2s. They're based in Europe. There's ESL Euro Series, Acer Team Story Cup. So there's all this. Basically, it's not a Grand Slam weekend event. It's online content, but it's still the best players of the region, and you have top Koreans playing in those events as well. And there's still, every day there's probably several hundred euros at least going out. And the viewage is pretty good for those events. I think it's something that if the American scene can find any companies interested in spreading their brand through not necessarily a big Grand Slam event, a giant thing like Rebel, which are great as well, but also some more daily content.
This is actually something I heard you talk about at like a smaller, at some sort of talk, but you said that just because the way sponsorships work in Europe and America, it's hard for America to have these kind of smaller cups. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's really difficult to, if you want to basically talk to a major company in America and talk about a sponsorship deal, you're wasting your time unless you're talking about a lot of money. So I don't know how it works in Europe. I don't know how they've been able to organize all the smaller events and get people like Intel, XMG interested in saying, hey, we'll throw out 100 euros today, and as long as we get several thousand viewers, that's worth 100 euros, right? Several thousand viewers over several hours. Whereas in America, I think there's probably room to do that, but I think it's harder to approach a company and say, hey, can we talk about a deal where for next month you give out $1,000, and it's like, why would they waste their time sitting in a room with you over talk about that, right? It's kind of that type of thing.
It's like a corporate culture thing, I guess.
I think so. Honestly, I'm not an expert on that scene, so take everything I have to say with a grain of salt, I guess.
All right. So what are you looking to do now? Now that you're free to do whatever you want.
So, I mean, there's a couple options. Right now, I'm kind of assessing my options, and it's like, do I want to fall back my programming degree? Do I want to basically take, honestly, what I'm better at, which is kind of video production and knowing esports scene, and become like a consulting. There's a lot of game companies that are looking for people like me to basically consult in the growth of their game and build it so that it can grab an esports audience as well as obviously the mainstream audience.
So you wouldn't mind working on another game, you're saying?
Well, I'm debating that, because those the two options I mentioned earlier are like career options you can get a lot of money with. And the third option is kind of just try to keep doing StarCraft, and it would be more, whatever I can find in the StarCraft sphere. And that's obviously, I love StarCraft. That's my goal, is to stick with it. But it's kind of the choices on, at what point do I stick with StarCraft? At what point do I just say, I should grab a more secure career, maybe?
What kind of games could you see yourself gravitating toward? Like I know Hoppet says you're really good at Agricola, which is like this super like uber complex sport game, and like I know you play some Hearthstone too, I guess.
Yeah, I play like Arena on the side. I could definitely do Hearthstone. I like Hearthstone is the game I could be really good at, because it's like StarCraft, but you don't have to be fast. Okay. So it's a strategy game, right? So it's definitely a type of game that I could be good at, but it's not. There's not clear-cut opportunities in Hearthstone, right? It's something that if I went down the road of not grabbing a full-time job with a corporate company, it would be something where I'd probably do some Hearthstone, some StarCraft, and just try to grab whatever opportunities I could in the strategy type sphere. If I went in more like the corporate type jobs, a lot of those, at least for the esports market, are outside the strategy games. So it's a MOBA genre or future different shooters, or even MMO type games that want to have an element of competition in them. And that would be less of a personality and more of just like basically telling them how to market their game to esports, how to make it acceptable to esports, and also building some video content that you can then will attract those viewers.
Well, you say yourself that you think you're better at being like a producer, but in terms of what you enjoy, you just enjoy the strategy and analysis more?
Yeah, definitely. I fell in love with strategy when I was like a little kid, and I remember I must have been like 4 or something, and I saw my dad teaching my brother, who was 3 years older than me, chess, and because he didn't offer to teach me chess because I was, I guess, too young. But like I kind of saw him teaching, and then like I snuck in and tried to like play at night and stuff. And then he caught me doing that, and he taught me chess. And like ever from that moment, I haven't kept up with chess.
That's such a weird story. Like, oh, you know, like I had to secretly play chess. Like what?
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was just like, you know, when you're a little kid, you think things, right? Like, but it's obviously as soon as he just didn't think I'd be interested because I was too young. But then as soon as, you know, the instant he kind of saw me messing around with the pieces, you know, then I got really into chess when I was little. As soon as basically StarCraft 1 came out, I kind of stopped playing chess. I was like in 5th grade or so. So it's not like I ever really went far with chess, but that's where my passion for strategy. And then, you know, from there I was reading all the strategy books, classical strategy, chess strategy books, but also like classic military strategy and art of war and stuff like that. So for me, strategy and analysis is like, that's my passion, but it's also, you can say it's easy when you talk to people, oh, strategy is something you can take to business, to all these other things, but it's like, of course you can, but what I love about it is that military application, which is harder to, you know, I mean, StarCraft is the perfect job, basically.
So do you think, well, on that note, like you said, like chess and Hearthstone, do you think there's a future for like mechanically low demanding strategical games in esports?
Definitely. I think Hearthstone has potential. It's not, you know, I mean, Hearthstone is always going to be something, it's not going to be like regarded like the pinnacle of esports, but there's definitely room to host events on the side. There's, you know, and it'll be like, you know, Magic the Gathering, where you might not get the huge audience, but it's still a fun game. People are interested in watching it, and there's a lot of potential to use it as a marketing tool because, I mean, more people watch Hearthstone, they're going to want to buy all the cards that the pros have. So it's obviously there's a good feature in that, and I think there's. The tricky thing is, though, which is why I like Hearthstone, is because as soon as you get to mechanically less demand, you often start talking about turn-based games, and it's like chess is not fun to watch. Like you can watch a replay of a chess match if you're really hardcore into it, but like watching someone stare at a board for so long is not fun. Whereas like Hearthstone is a little better because the turns are fast. The game is fast. It's like, you know, 5-10 minutes often, and I think there's a future for games like that if you can make it fast enough paced and you make it obvious when things happen. So like in Hearthstone, when someone casts a flame strike and the whole board goes away, it's like, something happened, right? Whereas in chess, it's like someone moves a piece and it's like, you don't know what happened. I mean, obviously you could look at it and figure it out.
You could make like battle chess or something like that on a board where the figures are like dragons and they burn shit up. No? Yeah,
no. There's a lot of really cool turn-based strategy games I love playing in my free time. But most of those just. It's like, why would you watch that when you could watch StarCraft? Like same thing. Like I would never watch Hearthstone over StarCraft, even though I like the game. Like if you're interested in a strategy game, but you want to watch something, the vast majority of people are watching something that's moving, it's real time, it's more visceral, right?
All right. Well, we got to wrap up. Anything you want to say to conclude?
You know, I've loved this event, so I hope more of you guys watch all these big events. Red Bull, their production crew is really, really professional. You know, they may not. It's weird because dealing with them, some of them may not have the experience in esports, but they react so quickly and they learn so fast that I've been really impressed working with the Red Bull team. And yeah, so just keep watching all StarCraft events because they're always awesome.
Oh yeah, and please hire Axslav. All right.